Okay. I normally do this on Facebook Live, but I decided that I'd already done a live this morning, and I didn't want to be too boring or be repetitive or anything like that. I wanted to touch on a couple of subjects that has really brought up thoughts in the past, 3 to 4 days. Um, had a wonderful young man. Um, we lost him on Thursday night, and I don't want to go into a whole lot of detail, um, but it is an alleged suicide. I didn't want to do this real soon after because it's a touchy subject, and that right there, that statement in itself, kind of made a light bulb come on. It's a lot of things that people don't like to talk about. It's not good timing to talk about, and that's the sad part about it. Um, Suicide is something that needs to be talked about, something that needs to be voiced. I did a little bit of research on it. Everybody knows what suicide is. That's not the part of the research that I did. I was trying to find a link. A lot of people do that when things like this happen in their lives. They want to find out why. They want to find out the reasoning. We're never going to know why. We're never going to know the reasoning. You don't know what's going on inside someone's head. If, in fact, there is something going on in someone's head, I firmly believe that suicide is linked to depression. Depression, of course, is defined as a mental illness. Um, I have suffered from depression, and I have had thoughts of suicide. The only thing that I think kept me from it was, for one, I was too scared to. For two, I think about the others around me, how that's going to affect them, and the fact that I don't want to put them through that. But there are other people out there that have suffered and are suffering with depression to the point to where they just feel like there's no help out there. Um, Depression is a feeling of despair, a feeling of loneliness, a feeling of just I don't care. Um, Feelings of this is all my life is going to be. Um, there's so much more that goes into that, and it can be picked apart. And I could sit here and talk for hours. I had tried pills, and they didn't help. The pills seemed like it just made it worse with other things. Um, I can't tell you how I come out of it, but I was in it for like 6 to 8 months badly, and all of a sudden one day it just clicked. I don't know if there is a cure for depression. I think it's manageable. I don't like the fact that maybe someone has to rely on medication and pills, but if that helps them, so be it. I came out of it, and I still every once in a while I will get into it, and it depends on the situation. People think sadness is depression. No, depression is more, um, so much more involved. And, when it comes to the point of being in depression or other things along with the depression that will cause you to think of suicide or people actually committing suicide, it's totally different. And so then you have to go in and analyze suicide. It a lot of people think that that's the cowardly way out. I used to think that because I was uneducated on it. It's not the cowardly way out. My opinion only. If a person commits suicide, they're pretty dadgum brave because they were strong enough to do it, if that makes any sense. Now, granted, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Coming from people like me, it's easy said. If you've never really suffered from a deep manic depression over a long period of time, then it's not easy to understand why suicide comes into play. Um, people that are suffering from a bad depression, they don't stop to think about how they make other people feel if they follow through with the suicide. And then again, they may. But the fact of the matter is they feel like they're a burden. They feel like that they are worthless. They feel like um, basically worthless, and that's pretty much the bottom line. Like they're no good to anybody. And people who suffer from manic depression are the type of people that I feel that they don't want people to see it. They don't want to admit it. So, excuse me, when they go out in public, they have smiles on their face, and people say, "How are you doing?" And, "Oh, I'm doing great. Everything's going fantastic," because they can hide it. It's a very well hidden illness. I believe it's an illness. I believe it's a disease. Um, I do believe it's treatable, but I also believe it's one of the hardest things to fight, and it's one of the easiest things to hide. With that being said, you have suicide prevention things that are advertised. Suicide prevention month, just like you have cancer awareness, breast cancer awareness, ALS awareness, things like that. But you don't see depression awareness. I don't think people realize that depression is and can be as bad. I think people kind of underplay it, because the easiest thing to say is, well, if you're depressed, get out and do something about it. Be around people, blah, blah, blah. Signs of depression it's a long list. I mean, weight gain, weight loss, um, isolating yourself, being cooped up in your house where it's dark, um, very seldom having any type of interaction with people. Um, and then again, there's also, like I said, it's very well hidden. People go out and be sociable and have fun and laugh and joke and help other people lift themselves up. It's easier to do it for someone else than it is for yourself. So, I mean, it's confusing. You would think somebody that's under depression or in a really, really bad depression state would come out and say they need help with it. It's not easy to admit. I feel like people who think of suicide but they want help, they're going to say it. I've had thoughts of hurting myself. I've had thoughts of ending my life. But somebody who's really, really true to it, they're not going to say a word. They're not going to let it be known. It's just going to happen. And that's what we have experienced in the past 4 days. We've lost someone, and we don't know why, and we're not going to understand why, and we're going to want blame, and we're going to go through the what ifs, and it's everything that is involved in that. The only thing I can say is research in depth. I mean, educate yourself. Look for the signs. If there's even a small inkling of a sign, try to lift that person up. Make them try to make them feel better about themselves. Let them know that there's help. Let them know there's support. Let them know that they're not alone, that they're not the only person that is suffering or has suffered from those thoughts and the depression part of it. Educate. There might be somebody out there that you don't like, and there might be a good reason for it, but at the same time, analyze why you don't like them. Is there a possibility that they're going through something as well, and they're just passing themselves off as being an ugly person or a mean person? You never know. Same thing goes with somebody who's happy, joyful all the time. You never know what they're actually hiding. Take the time to get to know a person. Let them know, hey, fantastic, you're smiling and happy, but if there's ever a time that you feel like that you're not, give me a call. You know, I may not be able to help you, but I have good listening ears, and I can give you advice on what I would do as a person, but not to make it about me. So, with that being said, I'm going to jump off of here. Just educate, put it out there, voice it, publicize it, you know, get it out there. If you can help one person, if you can save one person, don't you think that would be worth it? I mean, this world doesn't have enough positivity anymore. And a lot of that is the cause of the depression and the depressions and the suicides and the attempts and everything. Educate, publicize, advertise it. Let's do something to try to help the people in this world that we feel like is just crumbling down because of all the negativity. Past positivity. It's just my thoughts.